Please download the breast cancer dataset and we can do the logistic regression quickly with that. And after that, we'll do GitHub. Do you have a GitHub account?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, great. Do you operate it from the command prompt? No,
Yes, from common primary, GUI both.
both. Okay. Okay. So, have you seen the dataset? Have you got the dataset? I've uploaded on the. You can check it on the classroom.
Ma'am,
Yeah. Tell me.
in the admission prediction data set,
Hmm.
so we have to predict the chances of admission. And when I'm trying to make the OLS regression,
Hmm.
it is not working. That chances of admission give.
Rename that column.
Okay.
Rename that column. It will work. That because of that space, it was not working.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Rename that column. Chances of admission. Rename that column. Okay, I have given, I think, another data set which I have not done in the class for which I think for regression tree I have given. That is car price prediction, I think. Car price prediction data set. Just check that data set, okay? If you have any doubts or you're not able to do, let me know. That was for the regression tree. Practical 9, I think I have given. Okay, so let's do this data set. So also I just did and it worked fine, no issues. Have you downloaded the datasets, everyone?
Yes.
Okay, so okay. So this is basically a breast cancer data set where the tumor, the size of the tumor and various parameters which are related to the tumor and texture, size, mean, perimeter, everything is being, the geometric features are being listed. And depending on that, we have a column which is this is supervised learning. So definitely we have a target column which has that the tumor is malignant or non-malignant. Non-malignant means cancerous. So we have it is M or B. M means malignant and B means benign. Okay, so which is non-malignant. So we have to do, because it is binomial classification. Two only, there are two varieties. So you can do binomial classification. You can do logistic regression here. So what we do is first we import the data set definitely. Okay, so we have done. Now see the head of the data set. If you want, you can see the view also. Okay, so these are the features which is, you can see, texture, perimeter, that is the worst fit kind of thing. Then smoothness, concavity, and all these are there. Fractal dimensions, and you can check the columns. Yeah. Uh, it's not columns are like, because I'm doing Python and R simultaneously. Sometimes I get confused with them. No. The number of rows. This is the number of columns. And you have the, I think, call names. Df underscores names. Yeah. That will give you the column names. If you want to check the dimension, that is a shape like in the Python. Df underscore c. Now, what else we have to do? We have to check the structure of the data set, because here only numbers we want. Df underscore c. Let's see. So here all are numbers except the target variable, which is character. So you have to convert the target variable into numeric. Use if else. In dplyr, there is a command called revalue. I think you can use that also, but this is easy actually. Df underscore c. If it is malignant, then 1, that is present, that is cancerous tumor is present, else it is 0. So equal to m, then 1, else 0. So depending on your usage, you have to understand what is the target variable mean, and depending on that, convert into 1 and 0, give them names. Now we are doing random sampling. – 80% of the data into – then we are applying the logistic regression algorithm. Yes. Any doubts as of now? Are you doing with me? You can see the screen, right? Yeah. Are you able to do the program with me? So here we give GLM and the formula. Formula is we have to, where is what happened? So the main, what what is the name, diagnosis, right? When I'm writing. And here I'm giving all data equal to BF underscore C underscore PR, family equal to binomial. Yes. Okay. So when I run this, um, I get two warnings here. Yeah? GLM fit algorithm did not converge. What does this mean? This means that there are some points which are like in the middle. Like you can see here we have a, okay, I'll just show you. Open paintbrush. Now here there are like for example, this is a, now for example this is X and this is Y. I'm sorry, I'm bad with mouse. So this is X and this is Y, and we have some probability. So we have two variables, like two classes we have to determine. One is 0, another is 1. But you have the probability, you are getting the output as the probabilities. Okay, like the probability. So probability of success, okay, which is represented as a sigmoid function, 1 by 1 plus it e to the power 1 to like to the power minus e, right? Is it? I have told correct, right? Just give me a second. 1 divided by 1 plus to the power minus e. Okay, alpha, e to the power minus alpha. Yeah, where the alpha is the link function. Yeah. 1 divided by 1 plus e to the power minus alpha, where alpha is the link function. Okay, so that is the formula. So here what we are getting, the probability, we are getting some probabilities which are near to like towards 0. Okay, like 0.5, 0.2, like that. Okay, it's 0.2, 0.1, 0.001. Okay, so all these probabilities are towards 0. Then you have some probabilities like 0.5, 0.6. Okay, some probabilities are towards 1, like 0.9, 0.8. So you get, basically you are getting a curve, not a curve like this, but it will be a smooth curve. I don't know, this paintbrush is not that great. I'll take some other brush. Yeah. So it will be a smooth curve like this, like sigmoid curve, like a S, basically. It will be like an S, a curve like this, where it is some of the variables are towards 0, some of the variables are towards 1. So if you when you do the algorithm also, if you plot the alpha, if you calculate the value of alpha, how will you calculate? It's a link function, right? So y equal link function, that is alpha is equal to the intercept plus beta 1 x1 plus beta 2 x2. So whatever are your coefficients that you add, and you, if you calculate the alpha for each x, okay, and that you plot, if you plot that with the prediction, you'll get a curve like this, which is called the sigmoid curve. Okay, so that is why it is called the sigmoid function. 1 divided by 1 plus e to the power minus alpha. Okay, so here, so what it is saying, this warning, it's not a error, it's a warning. What it says that some of the variables, the system cannot determine whether they are near to 1 or 0 because they are in the middle. Have you understood? So that is what it is saying, but it does not, it won't matter to your prediction. So you just ignore this. Okay, so here we are doing, now we are writing summary. To increase, to remove this, you can increase the number of iteration. Increase the number of iterations will be, the maximum iterations here in logistic regression model is 25 by default. Like last time we have done, we had increased the number of iterations to 100. What does number of iterations do? Now, number of iteration, actually it has a function which tries to reduce the error. Okay, it has a function which tries to reduce the error, or the loss function basically, which tries to reduce your residuals. So that it will do. So if you increase the number of maximum number of iterations, these errors may go, but even if it is there, it doesn't matter. So if you want, you can change it by this, or this error will go if you increase the number of rows in the sample. That is, if I'm taking a big a large data set. Now in this data set, a lot of records are not there. It's around 500 records. So if you take a large data set, this error may not come. Okay, so here you can increase the maximum number of iterations, which is just uh, the iterations which logistic regression model is used to get that line, get that probability, that is to reducing the residuals. That is what it is doing. So here that you can that you can induce by including the hyperparameter. Okay, so you can write control equal to list. Here you can use this max it equal to 100. So you can check by this whether this error, this warning goes or not. So first warning message went, but the second message is still there. So anyways, so the next is the summary. So here you can see I told you the minimum iterations is default, by default the iterations are 25. Here the number of iterations is 32, and here all the p-value is giving 1, which is not great. So can I reduce this? Can I remove this and I check once? None of the variables p-value is coming less than 0.05 basically. But anyways, it will not it will not determine your prediction. Just ignore it and do. P-value should be greater than z value, which is greater than z value basically. Anyways, so let's see this. Then we are doing the prediction. So prediction is equal to prediction. I told you prediction is determined with the help of it is here. It is not the class which is getting predicted. Here we are getting the probability that it can be class 1. That is the prediction. That probability of success. That probability the cancerous tumor is present. Okay, so here that is a prediction, and here we are using this predict function. So in the predict function, this is also a very generalized function we are using in linear regression also, you remember. Here we are using the model, name of the model. So here we are using the log underscore mod, and here we are using the test data set, which is df underscore c underscore test. And Because it's not a linear regression, here we are writing type equal to response, which is basically the probability. In case this is a decision tree, you are using type equal to class. So we got mod underscore c. Okay, now you can print this prediction. You can see this is the probability basically. Yes, so this is the probability. We have to convert this into class. So let's convert it into class. Anyone has joined here? If else, because I got that error that many of these variables are in the middle at near 0.5. So I'm keeping my threshold a little bit lower. Like there is a way to find out the threshold. That is by checking the, the true positivity rate and true negativity rate. This is the, you can see this diagram which I have displayed here. This is the sensitivity and the specificity. So this is the false, basically specificity. Here we are printing the specificity or the true negativity rate. So here what we have to see, the true positivity rate and the false positivity rate has to be minimum, and the true positivity rate has to be maximum. Here specificity stands for true negativity rate. So here we are plotting 1 minus specificity, that is the false positivity rate. So here the false positivity rate should be lowest, and the true positivity rate should be the highest. That point is called the threshold. So here this point is the threshold, and the threshold, if it is higher, your accuracy is higher. Okay, so here for example prediction, so I'm giving here like 0.5 for example, which is 1, else we are giving it as 0. So I want to find the threshold, that is the probability where my true positivity rate will be the highest and the false positivity rate will be the lowest. That will give me my threshold. Okay, so that you can do it. Actually, you can find the true positivity rate and false positivity rate of all the values of all the rows, and you can determine which is the threshold. I'll show you the code I have done before. Yes, anyone has any question? Yes, tell me, Monali. You wanted to ask something?
No, ma'am, by mistake.
Okay, but you're doing this code?
Ma'am, today I don't have my system. Tomorrow I'll do it.
What about the others? Is the are you able to do? Are you getting any errors? Okay, so I have done this, and I have printed this. You can see now the variables are changed to 1 and 0. I will check the accuracy and I will adjust the threshold in case if the accuracy is not great. So what I do is now, yeah, I'll print the accuracy. So I told you for accuracy we are using something called confusion matrix. So we create a confusion matrix T equal to table, and here we are plotting. First is the actual values, which is df underscore c underscore test is that I have written, and the prediction. This will give me my confusion matrix. Again, some problem like last time. Okay, dollar. Sorry. Dollar diagnosis and the prediction. Yeah. So here. So now you can print the value of t. Okay, have I converted into not the prediction then class, right? I have converted into class, right? Okay, cancer, yeah. Cancer. Yeah. So now you get the value of p, which shows me good accuracy basically. So what is the accuracy? Accuracy is equal to sum of diagonal of t divided by sum of t. This is my accuracy. Let me see. 94, 95% almost. If you reduce this threshold, for example, 5, if I increase this, suppose I do 8, is my accuracy decrease? See, I did 5 because it was saying that there are no some variables which are 0 and 1. It is not able to distinguish between 0 and 1. That means they are in the borderline. Okay, so that's why I converted that borderline to 1. Let me see the accuracy. Has it changed? No, it shows me the same accuracy. So it's good actually. Have you understood this? Now I'm going to show you some more metrics here. So here, is it coming? Your output is coming. Can you
Ma'am, I'm getting some error. Not error. I'm getting some wrong answer.
wrong?
Answer. Output.
Can you share your screen with me?
Okay.
Just give me a second. Yeah, please. I'll stop presenting. Those who have got the output, can you just paste the accuracy, please?
Is it visible?
Yeah. Yes. Acha,
So,
your output is not great. Yes, it is
no.
visible.
So,
Uh,
ma'am, I
what
should have
is
a.
df underscore c diagnosis date equal to family equal to pi. So, is what? Can you just zoom it?
Uh, is the option of. I think.
Okay, give me a moment. Can I zoom it from here? Okay, what?
Yeah, I get it. I get it. I get it. Is it okay now?
Yeah, yes. So what the accuracy is only 42. Means what is you're getting a low accuracy or what?
I think.
Have you checked the accuracy?
One map. It has stopped. Uh,
Did you save it?
I had. Yes.
Just run this again, whole thing.
Yes, the error is I'm getting this table. The confusion message to be a 2D array, but it is not a. It is a 1D array.
It's a 1D array. Have you
Yeah,
given?
but I
It's
have.
not a. It's not a 1D array. It's a okay zero
No,
one. As in the opposite. The okay. DF.
other column is missing.
Yeah, yeah. So can you just print cancer? Just
Yeah, the
print.
cancer is here.
Okay, DF cancer, DF test you print, DF test dot head you do, DF underscore test dot head. I think this is a different data set. I feel so. Head,
This is
head,
I.
DF underscore test. This is you have made just now. I think this is a different data set. It's this data
This
set only? Okay. Fine.
I have downloaded this one.
No, you have split the data set, no? Have you
Yes.
split it? Yes, see, my minuses you have written there.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. Yeah.
Hmm. I can't see any error actually. DF test dollar diagnosis you do. What you have written there? DF test underscore test dollar diagnosis. Yeah. Just print this. Select it, no? Sorry, you have selected.
No. No. It is
Print it.
with cursor. It will work.
Okay. Now you write this command again and from scratch you write table. Just next line you write. Just rub this command table. Here you write.
This one.
Yeah, rub this. Erase this completely. Write table bracket df underscore test dollar diagnosis. Write it from scratch. Comma. No cancer. Yeah. Yeah. Run it again.
I'm getting 1D.
Getting a 1D array.
Shimon, check your cancel command. I fails in bracket prediction greater than 0.5, comma 1, comma 0.
Yeah, yeah. What you have written that?
Oh.
Greater than 0.5 only you have written.
Now
Right?
you'll get 2D.
What you have written that
Okay.
prediction greater than what you have not written
5.
greater than sign.
No. No. I missed the point one.
Okay, okay. Good.
Okay.
Got it?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
What about the others? Yeah. Hmm. Okay, I can see that you have missed that point. My eye has power. I cannot see so small. Anyways, good. Yeah, you got it. Who said the answer? Apurv or what? No? Who helped you?
Harsha.
Harshad.
Harshad. Okay, okay. Good. Harshad, you got the output?
Yes.
Okay, fine. So now, I wanted to show
Ma'am,
you.
can you show the accuracy again? How to calculate the accuracy?
Yeah, yeah. So, see, accuracy equal to sum of the diagonal t divided by sum of t. So we are actually adding up these diagonal values 74 plus 34 divided by 74 plus 2 plus 4 plus 34. So that is giving me accuracy.
Ma'am, the screen is not shared.
Okay. See, sum of diagonal t, you stored this table into a variable called t, sum of diagonal t divided by sum of t.
Yes, ma'am, done.
Okay, so we have some more parameters here, like apart from this, okay, we can calculate the sigmoid function. Now for example, now sigmoid function for creating the alpha or calculate the alpha by adding so many coefficients, it's very difficult because we have taken many coefficients, right? So it will be very tedious. Let's take one variable and we can determine the function if you want. Just let me. So name of the model was this is the finding alpha. Okay, let's do this. Log underscore mod underscore c. So finding. So here these are the coefficients. Now you can see we have taken many coefficients actually here. We have taken many coefficients here. So I don't want to take so many coefficients. Because I have my alpha calculation will become very complicated. Let's do a logistic regression model with one of the coefficients and try to find the value of alpha. Okay, let's take any one of the coefficients. There is a option, there is a matrix to find the best feature also. Right now, let's just take any of these features and do the equal to GLM diagnosis. For example, this data equal to EF underscore C underscore TR, family equal to binomial. Okay, so it gives me yeah. So this is my summary of the log model. Now what AIC is giving me 608. What was the AIC of the model before? 64. Of course, this model is much better. The AIC has, the lesser the value of AIC, the better is your model. So the first model is definitely much better, but for me, just now I want to check the calculation. So P equal to, so this is the probability, predict, and here you can write log underscore mod 1 and BF underscore C underscore test type equal to response. Did we okay, I just changed the formula, right? Nothing else, right? We can use this same thing. So we have done this. Now I'm converting into class. So cancer, or I can just write C class. And then I'll make the accuracy, right? Okay, so this is my, and let's print T1. Okay. So my accuracy is quite low. Quite low it is. It's not that great. And I was not expecting it to be great actually. But yeah, so sum of T1 divided by sum of 66%. Okay, so anyways, I have taken only one variable. So what was my objective was to find the value of alpha. I show you the value of alpha and also show you what is our probability. So you can see the probability of, like for example, if you print the probability, the first probability of the first row, it is coming as 0.355. So I want to check, I want to find out the value of alpha for the first row, for example. So alpha equal to, now for this I need to check the intercept and the coefficients. Okay, so here my model is log underscore mod underscore c dollar coefficients. You can print. This is not my, what was my model? Mod 1, I'm sorry. Log underscore mod 1 dollar coefficients. Okay, this is my new model. Okay, so I have only two coefficients. These are the regression coefficients. I told you here the linear regression equation is used, but in an exponential way, because it's a non-linear kind of regression. Okay, the relationship is non-linear. So the here we are getting this formula 1 divided by 1 plus e to the power exp minus alpha. Basically, this is my formula. So here, so alpha, we want to calculate alpha. What is the calculation? What is alpha from here? So here we will find out the value of alpha, that is beta 1 x1. So find out the value of x1. Okay. So my value is df underscore test. Are you understanding, right? If you don't understand, you tell me. For example, the first row or the first two rows, consider. I want to find the value of, so oh God, EF underscore C underscore test, I think so. Okay, so I've got these two rows in which I am taking, what is my coefficient, which column I have taken? I have taken fractal dimension mean. Okay, so the first row I am calculating the value of alpha. My column is fractal dimension mean. So what will be my x? What is the value of my x? What is the value of my x1? So it is 0.07389. This is my fractal dimension means value of x. So what is my linear regression formula? Beta 1 x1. Okay, so beta 1 is the coefficient of fractal dimension coefficient here. So I just write it here like this. Beta 1 is the coefficient here. You can see fractal dimension mean, this one. Multiplied by x1 plus the intercept. This is your value of alpha. This should be your value of alpha. Yes or no? Have you understood this? So alpha. This is my value of alpha. Okay. So now my probability is equal to 1 divided by 1 plus exp e to the power minus alpha. So minus alpha E is equal to 0.3556351. Check our prediction. Check the probability. We have printed the probability here. See, 0.3556351. Have you understood this calculation now? See the probability. It's the same. Have you understood this calculation?
Ma'am, how did you get the values of alpha?
See here I have put the linear regression formula. Linear regression formula, what is the linear regression formula? Y is equal to mx plus c. So if it's a multiple linear regression, y is equal to m1 x1 plus m2 x2 plus c, where m1 is the slope or the regression coefficient and c is the intercept. Now what I have done is I have taken only one column in this model, in this logistic regression model. I took only one column here, fractal dimension mean. Have you understood? I have taken only one column. So when I printed the coefficient, so you can see here log underscore mod 1 dollar coefficients. So I have only two coefficients here. One is the alpha, one is the fractal dimension mean regression coefficient, which is the beta 1. Another is intercept. Okay, beta 1 or m1, another is intercept. So I am taking the value of alpha. Alpha is the link function here. That is the same as the regression coefficient equation. Okay, so what we are doing, minus 10.29, this is the coefficient, 0.07. How I'm getting this 0.07? Because this is the value of fractal dimension. I printed this here. I printed this, got it from the head of the DFC test. So this is my value of fractal dimension mean. Okay, so beta 1 x1 plus intercept will give me the value of alpha. Do it for the second row. Do it for the second row, which is 0.05699. Do it for the second row and get me the value of the probability for the second row. Value of the probability for the second row will be here. It is printed. And you will be clear with this idea. I think it is 0.39644. This will be the value of your second row. Okay, can you do this? Do the calculation and tell me you have understood this concept or not. So after that, I am just putting the value of alpha in this P, in the sigmoid function, 1 divided by 1 plus exp to the power exp to the power minus alpha. That is e to the power minus alpha. And that gives me my answer, basically. Anyone has not understood, want me to explain again? So why did I not do this with the previous model, the first model? Because there are so many values of coefficients. So I have to add them all up. Beta 1 x1 plus beta 2 x2 plus beta 3 x3 plus beta 4 x4. Like this, I have to add up all the columns. So the calculation will become tedious. Have you understood? So I have not done that.
Ma'am, for the second row, also the value is almost similar.
Same, no, it will be same.
Yeah,
Little bit different it is. It should be the same.
almost same, not exact same.
Exactly. Okay. See here it is 0.3556351 and here the probability is yeah, exact same. It should be exactly same. If it is not exactly same, then there you might have made some mistake. Let's do another alpha. So if we can find out the value of alpha for all now for the entire row, for everything, for the entire row. So what we can do, we can plot this sigmoid function and you will get this S, which we are just showing it. Means I'm just trying to paint a picture, but actually you can plot this graph. Okay, so for example, so say for the second alpha equal to alpha 2 is equal to, so here the coefficient will remain the same, this with 2 will remain the same, only the value of the x will change. The value of x is, let's see the values. fractal dimension means this is 0.056. I'm just copying from here so that I don't make a mistake. Plus, this is the intercept, right? Same intercept will not change. Model is same, so intercept won't change. So alpha 2 I'm getting. So alpha 2 value is, okay. Now the value of P, so this is P2 for example, and here I'm getting the value of alpha 2. 0.3964433. Now let's see. 0.3964433, exactly similar. Number by number. It is the same. This calculation, just I told you, this is how the calculation, like in linear regression also I told you how the calculation is coming. Here I told you how the calculation is coming. Is it clear, this process now, the sigmoid function thing? Okay, let's do the sigmoid graph. Let's plot this graph. Okay, so for this we are creating this alpha list, which is equal to, so I need the fractal dimension. Okay, so what I need is this is remaining same, right? Anyone has any difficulty, because I am getting a lot of silence? So just tell me, what is the issue? Are you not understanding? In the last lecture, were you present? If you have any difficulty, if you tell me to explain it again, I'll explain the logistic regression.
Ma'am, can you explain the AUC graph again?
Pardon?
AUC graph.
I didn't. Why we use the graph? That's what you're saying.
No.
Your voice is breaking.
Explain the graph. I mean, AUC graph.
AUC graph. We have not done as of now. We'll do that.
Okay.
We have not done the AUC graph. I'm just explaining the sigma. We have not printed this. Okay. When I'll print this, okay. Shall we do the sigmoid function or this AUC? Okay, AUC graph is nothing, but we have a graph. This is another kind of accuracy matrix, which is called ROC curve. Let's do this, then we'll do the sigmoid function, right? AUC graph. So I'll explain this first. So this all, if you have understood, there's no doubt. So here we were here, right? The confusion matrix. So here this you have understood, right? These two are true positive. This is false negative, and this is false positive. This is our confusion matrix. Now, what is true positive? The predicted value matches with the actual value. The actual value was positive and the model predicted a positive value. That is true positive. What is true negative? The predicted value matches the actual value. The actual value was negative and the predicted value told a negative value. Okay, so this is true positive and true negative. Now we have a type 1 error, which is false positive. The predicted value was falsely predicted. That is, for example, you don't have a disease, but for example, you went for the dengue test. You don't have the dengue, but in the test, your result came positive. That is false positive. Okay. The actual value was negative, but the model predicted a positive value. Next is false negative, which is type 2 error. The predicted value was falsely predicted. That is, the actual value was positive. So this is like, it is more dangerous because you have a disease, but it is showing negative. So you don't get the treatment at all. Okay. So the actual value was positive, but the model predicted a negative value, also known as type 2 error. Next, we have these two metrics, precision and recall, depending on these errors. So precision tells us how many of the correctly predicted cases actually turned out to be positive. That is the total number of positive cases which you have. Total number of positive cases, how many positive cases you have, which is the addition of summation of true positive and false positive. Okay, so the denominator is true positive and false positive, and among that, how many are actually positive? So that is true positive divided by true positive plus false positive. So this gives you the precision. Okay, the precision of your accuracy. So if you are asked that what is the precision of your accuracy, this is the precision: true positive divided by total number of positive cases, that is total number of true positive plus false positive. Next we get recall. Recall means actually how many positive cases were how many are actual positive cases among the total number of data which we have, actual positive cases. So how many actual positive cases we are able to predict correctly with our model, which is true positive. What is the actual positive cases in our model? True positive plus false negative. True positive are not the actual positive cases in our model. Our actual positive cases are true positive plus false negative, because those are actually positive but has been predicted as negative. So recall is the ratio of true positive versus true positive, addition, summation of true positive and false negative. Have you understood this? Recall and precision. Now, depending on this recall and precision, we have two more metrics. Okay, have you understood precision and recall? Yes or no? Just write yes or no in the chat. Okay, fine. So next what we have is, okay, we have another something else also which is called F1 score. F1 score. This is also a matrix which is there. F1 score. The F1 score is a combination. It's a mean of the harmonic mean of the precision and recall. So it gives you a combined idea about the two metrics. Apart from accuracy score, so in general, F1 score is actually more accurate than your accuracy score. F1 score is more accurate than your accuracy score because it is the mean. Next, we have something called specificity. Specificity is known as true negative rate. True negative rate, which is on the top we have true negative, total number of cases which are true negative, divided by total number of true negative plus false positive, that is total number of positive cases. That is the true negative rate. Or total number of negative cases. True negative divided by total number of negative cases, that is true negative plus false positive. Okay, so that is known as specificity. This is known as specificity. And sensitivity is the same as recall. It is the same as recall, that is true positive rate, that is the total number of true positive divided by total number of positive cases in real, which is true positive plus false negative. Have you understood this? These are known as, it's little confusing to remember, specificity, which is known as true positive rate, sensitivity, which is known as true negative rate. Specificity is the ratio of true negative divided by true negative plus false positive. That is the actual number of negative cases. And true positive rate is also known as the sensitivity, which is called the recall, is a ratio of true positive, actual number of positives detected by your system, divided by total number of actual positive cases, which is true positive plus false negative. Okay, so this true positive rate and false negative rate, actually we can plot by x and y, and we can determine something called a ROC curve. So its name is receiving operating characteristics. It's a measure of the classifier's performance. So ROC curve, receiving operating characteristics. and we generate a graphic that shows you the trade-off between the rate at which you can correctly predict something with the rate of incorrectly predict something. So we plot this and we get an area which is called area under curve, which is called AUC. As I told you here, this number, this point where this the ratio, the point where, just let me take a marker. This point, can you see my, yeah. So this point where the,
Ma'am, can you tell the ROC again?
which one? Yeah.
ROC,
This, I'm telling you. Okay, so see here, this is the ROC curve where you have understood the specificity and sensitivity. Have you understood the specificity
Yes,
and
yes,
sensitivity?
yes,
Positive and true negative rate.
yes,
So
yes.
here we are plotting the true positive rate in the y-axis and 1 minus 2 negative rate in the x-axis. Okay, or true negative rate also, you can put the specificity also, or false positive rate, whatever is significant for your system. You can put the specificity, the false positive rate or true negative rate in the x-axis and true positive rate in the y-axis, and we can get this curve. So it will give you a curve like this. For example, it will give you a curve like this. So this is the ROC curve basically. This is the ROC curve, but what will happen, the area under this curve, if you get this area under this curve, this gives you the area under curve or the classifier's performance, that how much area is covered by this curve. If you can calculate that, that gives you the classifier's performance. That is, suppose this area is 67.6773. So your classifier's performance, this is also a form of accuracy. Okay, why it is giving you accuracy, that I'm telling you. This point where the curve is bending, this point is actually your threshold. Threshold means the point where your data is the true positive, that is your false positive rate or the true negative rate is the lowest. Now false positive rate is the lowest. I don't want to plot the true negative rate, right? I want to plot the false positive rate or the opposite to true negative rate. So true negative rate is my lowest and the true positive rate is the highest. So here this point is known as the threshold, and this area is called the AUC or area under curve. You can see here AUROC with 1 indicates a perfect model. 1 means it will be reaching here. Okay, this point. This whole thing it will cover. So my here. It is going from here to here. Okay, so this point, that means maximum true positive rate and minimum false positive rate. Okay, so which is an ideal case. Minimum false positive rate, maximum true positive rate, which is an ideal case, which is not possible. So here that indicates a perfect model. Then AUROC is reduced from 0.67 to 0.6773. Okay, this is the previous model which we are discussing. And the misclassification rate we can calculate. What is that is divided, subtracted from 100, you will get the misclassification rate. And with this model, the false positives are reducing and true positives are increasing, but false negatives are increasing. Depending on the purpose of institution using this model, trade-off between the values and confusion matrix can be examined. An appropriate model can be chosen. Okay, so this is basically the ROC or the area under curve. That metric ranges from 0.5 to 1. The values above 0.8 indicate that the model does a good job in discriminating between the two categories which comprises our target variable. See this, for understanding this, you have to first understand this what is specificity and what is sensitivity. So specificity is the true negative rate. Okay, so we are plotting the 1 minus specificity in x-axis and true positive rate, which is a recall or the sensitivity, in the y-axis. And we are getting an area which is called area under curve, which gives our classifier's performance. Have you understood now? We'll do this for our model which we have created. Okay, so I was showing you, I wanted to show you the sigmoid curve also. So let's show you the classifiers. So you can calculate the precision, recall, and all everything. You understood, right? This what was the value of what was the t here? This is t. Let's go back to our previous classifier, which was t1, right? T1 is my accuracy. Any question you have? This is which one? What was my, okay, let me run it again. Just lost everything. Okay, so this is my prediction. Yeah. Prediction. And this is my calculation of the class. And this is my t. Okay. So this is my accuracy, right? It was showing me some 90, some more than 90% it was showing, 93%. Okay. So now what we want to do here, what I was doing, I wanted to find the precision. So what was precision? That is the actual number of true positive. So true positive divided by, means precision means what is the exact accuracy of my system. So true, how many are the total positives determined by the system, which is true positive plus false positive. Okay, now you tell me from the, now you check the confusion matrix and you remember this diagram. Yeah. So this is true positive. On the right hand side, this is false negative. This is false positive and true negative. Now, what is my true positive here? What is my true positive here?
72.
72. Divided by 72
72
plus 4.
false positive. 4.
Yeah. So this should be my precision. So this is my precision basically. Next is recall. Okay. What is your recall? True negative divided by total number of true negative in the system, total number of negative in the system, which is true negative plus false negative, F negative. Okay, so here you can see true negative is how much here? 34 divided by 34 plus false negative, which is 4. Okay, false negative here is 4. So that is how much? 89. Okay, 0.89. So this is the recall. Have you understood? So there is a library which prints you the entire confusion matrix. Just let me see. There's a library in R. I've done it before. Let's get that library and we can print it. It's directly you can write confusion matrix and it will print the entire precision, recall, everything. Okay, caret. Install this library. Install dot packages. Caret. Install this caret and then we can use the confusion matrix. Now you write library caret and here you can write confusion matrix, and here you give the first you give the y value and then the in the prediction. Okay, so df underscore c test dollar diagnosis. Now you have to convert this into factor here, otherwise it will not take. Okay, here you give the prediction, which is what is the name of the prediction? I have taken cancer, right? Yeah. So here the prediction is cancer. Here you can write cancer. Print this. They are with the same levels. df underscore c underscore test dollar. Yeah, so let's convert this into, both are having same number of rows, right? It is different. Here is the row numbers. Yeah, so you got this. So you can see this is the confusion matrix. The accuracy is 0.9298, which we had calculated manually. What we had calculated, just go back and see. See our calculation, validate it. This caret thing is. Have you jotted down the accuracy? Okay, so this is our, let me copy it somewhere. Okay. Just copying it in my notepad. And we'll validate. Just copy the accuracy in the notepad. This is the precision and the recall, right? I've calculated. So I'm just copying it in a notepad so that I can validate it. Have you got the confusion matrix?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So 0.9298, and how much it is for me? 0.9298, same. Accuracy is same. Okay, then does it show the precision and recall? It did not show the precision and recall, but our recall is also known as the sensitivity. Okay, so what was our recall? Is it 0.94? .9473. Specificity. This is a recall basically. 0.8947. 8947. Yeah, this is a recall. Okay, so this is a specificity or the recall, and sensitivity. We have to calculate actually. Here sensitivity is also showing as precision. It's showing the same value, but sensitivity is the true negative rate. Okay, why it is showing the same value? Because I think the false positive and true negative are both the same here. So what is the sensitivity here, which is the true negative rate? Because basically true negative divided by total number of negative, that is true negative plus false positive, which is giving me true negative is how much? Where is my, yeah, so this one. So true negative is 34 divided by true negative, which is 34, plus false positive, which is 4. How much it is giving me? 0.894, but it is saying 0.94. Am I getting confused with the? Just give me a second. Let's check. True negative rate is specificity, which is like recall, and this is sensitivity. True positive by true positive plus false negative. So just give me a second. True positive. Yeah, it's coming correct. Okay, so this is the recall basically. True positive rate, which is true positive divided by true positive plus false negative. Okay, and this is the sensitivity. Yeah, this is correct. Okay, precision is not printed here. Just tell me if you have any confusion. What is precision? Precision is not the true positive rate. Okay, precision is the how many, what is the number of among the total number of positive, how many are positives? That is true positive divided by true positive plus false positive. That is the precision. So what did I think? I made a mistake in the calculation there. True positive divided by true positive plus false positive. That will be precision. Here it will be 34. 34 is the false positive. No, 34 is the positive. Okay, it is coming same because these two are same. True positive and false positive and false negative are same. So both are coming as 4. That's why the answer is coming same for precision and true positive rate. And I literally got Maybe my answer was wrong, but it's correct. Is it clear, this whole thing? Now we just have to print the ROC curve. Have you understood this confusion matrix? Any confusion here with the confusion matrix? Is the output coming? Can you paste the confusion matrix output here? Okay. What about the others? Harshad, Apurv, Mehak? Good. Okay, so let's do this ROC curve. So I've done this here. So install this packages plot PROC. Library PROC you have to install. Install the PROC package, and I'm including library PROC. And in PROC, you have to give the same thing, that is your model. Yeah. Okay, model. You just have to give the column, that is what we give it in the confusion matrix. First is the diagnosis column, then your predicted column, then plot equal to true, and print.auc equal to true. That's it. So here. Yeah. Do this. Okay, ROC it is. Yeah. So 0.92 is the use. Just checking the threshold is being printed or not. No. Have you understood this? Any confusion?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So after, so logistic regression is basically done. Only that sigmoid graph is plot is left. If you want to see that, I can do. Otherwise, let's start with GitHub. Okay. So sigma here you can just write. You can create the list of alpha. That is alpha list. Use the second one. Use the second model, because in the first model too many coefficients are there. Okay. So alpha list is equal to, what is the name of my model? You have the model saved, right? Log underscore mod 1 coefficients. See, coefficient 0 is the intercept, right? If you check the log underscore mod 1, this is 0 coefficient is the intercept, and the 1 coefficient is the, so 0 multiplied by df underscore c underscore test, and here we have to give that fractal mean, this column, right, dollar. uh Excuse me, okay, this is 0, no, this is 1 multiplied by plus log underscore mod 1 dollar coefficients 0. This is the full, this will give you the list of alpha for all the elements in the row. So alpha underscore list, what happened exactly? Okay, I'll check this. Okay, I don't know what's going on. This is, I've done the calculation right. Just give me a second. Yeah, it's correct. Absolutely correct. Plus log mod coefficient 0. Okay, so yeah, it's correct only. That's what should happen. It should be a list of numbers which are like, we are calculating the value of alpha for each row. Right, even moment when we are adding, there is something happening. Maybe we have to give this as bracket. This is a bracket. What is the problem with this? If this is happening, then why this won't happen? Okay, I'll check what is the problem. There may be some minor issue. This whole thing should get added. That's it. something related to the array, I think, with vector addition. This is coming, no? No, this is problem. This is a problem. Okay, zero. Okay, okay, understood. This is here in R. In R, it is 1 and 2. Okay, so the first coefficient is 1 and the second coefficient is 2. I understood. I'm going by the Python way again. So this is 2. This will be 1. No, nothing called 0 here. Have you understood? Yeah, I got it. So this is my alpha list, and now what I am going to do, we are going to plot. This is my alpha list, and what is my class here? The class here is in this prediction with log mod 1. What is the prediction? C underscore class is my prediction. You have to just check before plotting, check the shape of this two. That is the length. Length should be same. Okay. C underscore class. This, the length of this and the length of alpha list both should be same. All are coming 0 or what? It showed me 66%, no? Anyways, it doesn't matter. Alpha list. So length of this alpha list. And length of this C class. 114. Okay, now we'll plot a graph. ggplot library. Have you understood what I did just now? I calculated the value of alpha and I want to plot alpha versus the predicted value. That will give me the sigmoid curve. X equal to, you can write alpha list and y equal to C underscore class. I think I have to plot the probability, not the class. Where is the probability? Not the probability. Yes is allowed. So didn't show, no? There's some error. Okay, anyways, what I was trying to show, there has to be some error. We have to check. What is it? It has to be like this, as I told you. Yeah, it will show you a graph like this, either a sigmoid curve or like this. You see? Alpha and probability. Okay, data, you have to give that data is compulsory. Have you seen the graph? Like this. It's a sigmoid graph. Let's give the test data. Let me see the test data. Let's give it this AES. It is not related. No, it's not come proper. Maybe we have not calculated the value of alpha properly. Okay, it should have a proper sigmoid curve. I'll check this output. And I've used a very low accuracy system also, but then also it should come like a sigmoid curve. Because that is what we use to calculate the probability. Okay, maybe you have not. I have not calculated the alpha properly. There is a mistake in the calculation. Is the alpha list is giving the proper calculation? Okay. Anyways, this is the curve. I will see the. You can say check the calculation at home. This is how it is. No, the calculation is not coming proper. You can see, it was supposed to be 0.355, right? Okay, that was the probability. This is the alpha. Alpha's calculation, first calculation, what we have printed that. Anyway, you have to check. It doesn't happen in a very quick way. Okay, try this calculation and try to print this sigmoid curve at home. Other things are clear, right? I will check. If it is printed, I will send you the PPT with the code. Okay. Okay, any other question you have? Or I'll just show you what is GitHub. How to upload files in the GitHub, how to write the coding and all.
Ma'am,
Yes, yes.
I had one doubt. To do the machine learning of the Boston dataset in R, we have to change the skewed and I mean highly skewed data into using the log transformation.
Acha, yeah.
Yeah. So in R, how to do that using the log function?
Log. Yeah, log function directly.
Yes,
Log.
but it is not working properly. I checked yesterday.
Okay, what's the problem?
So
Why
it is.
it works?
So can I share my
Log.
screen?
Yeah, log and exp. It works.
Let me
So
share.
listen.
So I was doing.
Oh yeah, what is not working? You have changed that anti-log is not working.
No, the log function. I mean, it is not working on the model. It is
No, you don't do it on the model. You do it on the target value.
on a target or features.
No, only on the target feature you do.
Yes, on the feature, right? I mean, like if
Only
I
on the skewed features you have done. Means either you do it on only on the skewed features, or you are doing on the or do it on the target variable. First, do it on the target variable and see if the output is, if the accuracy is enough. You need to do it on the feature.
it's like this crime is skewed data. So I need to change it like this way, right?
Yes, yes. So whenever you're doing this, do it with the yeah, fine. Yes, write this only. Is it not working? What happened?
No, when I have tried this on the model, it was giving me the same accuracy. and one is
I
Zden.
didn't understand what you're saying.
Okay, I think I have wiped out the things I
Hmm.
did. But is this required in the R also?
Yes, of course. Means
Okay.
required in the sense means required to do
Yes, yes. Because
for your assignment. Not
yes.
not required actually.
Okay, because in assignment only the linear regression was
Yeah,
required.
because in later on I have given an assignment which where you have to do transformation. This assignment in the first assignment I didn't ask for transformation actually.
Okay, okay, okay,
You can do it without transformation. Just do it in simple in R.
okay. So I have created only two models. One is using one I mean simple linear regression, and one is multiple linear regression.
That's
That's
fine. No
okay,
problem.
okay then.
No problem. But just at home you should know how to do that.
Yes,
That
yes, I will definitely try that.
yeah. Do that.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Others have understood. Tejal, Mehak, Apurv. Apurv is not talking today. Have you understood Apurv? Harshad, Munali, Aboli,
Yes,
others?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a GitHub account? All of you?
Yes.
Who has a GitHub account?
I don't have.
You don't have. So let's do this. Can you see my screen? No. So what is GitHub basically? It's a version control system, okay, where you can upload your. It allows you to have a cloud, in the resources to be kept on the cloud, like any other kind of Google, how it gives you access to the data, access to the resources, and like access to the drive. Similarly, GitHub also gives you access to store data. The only advantage of GitHub is it allows you version control. Version control is allowed. Okay, version control means every file which you are uploading there, it is stored as a version. You are able to see the previous version of the file. So if you want to cancel that version and jump to the, you want to cancel the previous version and make your version, latest version, as the version which people can see, that you can make. If you want to cancel your latest version and go to the previous version and make any other version as the latest version, that also you can do. So that facility is there, and that for that you have to actually create branches, and you have to know how to merge the branches and conflicts and all that. So much details I'm not going. I'm just showing you what is GitHub. So it's a popular distributed version control system which helps to coordinate developers who work on share files. So here you can see this. These are the advantage: extensive branching, then easy merging, isolated environments for multiple developers. Cheap means it is for a particular amount of resource, it is free of cost. It allows you to upload a file up till 25 MB free of cost. More than that, it will charge you. So here we have the performance. We can commit the data immediately, and the data, when it is committed, it's like any other good database which does not get erased at all. There is a security there, and the data is encrypted. If you keep it private, others cannot see it. Algorithm manages your versions, files, and the directories securely, so that work is not corrupted. So it has a branching model. It has different branching model than the other VCS. VCS means version control system. So it has a staging area, has an intermediate stage called index or staging area, where you actually add the files before committing it. Open source, distributed, so your performance is much higher. Advantages: history, collaboration, and feature branches. So first technical term which is used here is a project, which is a repository basically. So you have to, if you are in GitHub, what we are doing exactly, we don't always have to go online. We can, in our system only, we can download the desktop, GitHub desktop, and there is something called bash command prompt. which is actually GitHub system is a Linux system. So this bash thing is there. So there you can type the commands, and you can make one of your directory as the project directory where you can you can add the files. Later on, when you want to go online and want to push the data from your file, from your desktop or your local host into the GitHub, that time you can do it as per your convenience. Commit means you want to save the data, which is the term is commit here in GitHub. Okay, so let's see first how to download the GitHub. So first, if you do not have GitHub at your machine, download GitHub. So you go to write download Git. And if you have a Windows machine, download Get Windows. If you have a Linux machine, yeah. So here you can see download for Windows. Download it. Now, if you have a 64-bit, you download for 64-bit. So you download this. Then after that, you run this. See, I have already GitHub installed in my machine. So I'll show you. Whatever projects is being done, or GitHub is very good for showcasing your work. So if you are doing some extra projects at home, okay, so all these things you should upload in the GitHub and should include the link in your resume as well as in the LinkedIn. It's very much valued. Nowadays, without that, people don't view your resume, especially if you're in the data analysis line. So here, once you install it, you will have this bash, git bash. This will be, so install it. I'm not installing it, just install it, and this git bash we come into. Okay, so before that, if you do not have a Git account, so you need to create an account there, because you need the user ID and password for that. Go to the GitHub. Create an account there if you do not have an account. How many people have account already? Just log into my account. This is my account. If you don't have an account, you can create an account here and create an account. Okay, I think we are out of our time, and we'll do GitHub next day. So first you create an account, everyone. So create an account here, and next day we'll do the entire GitHub and how to, create, how to commit your files and push from your Git direct from your local file into your local desktop into your directory. Yeah, you have to enter your email here and then continue. Okay, so like this you have to do. Okay, right now I'm not doing, I'm not creating another account. I already have 2-3 accounts in GitHub. Okay, and then we have to write the commands in the git bash to do it to upload your data. You should be habituated in uploading in your data from your desktop, not by just uploading, click and do, but by command. Okay, that is the advantage of GitHub. And we can do the version controls. Is it clear? So we'll do it next day. Yes. So with this, please complete the practicals. I'll upload the class assignment for the logistic regression also. Do it with this breast cancer data set. It will and complete it. And what I'm saying is only for the regression tree, I have given you an unknown assignment which you have not done in class. Now let me know you are able to do it or not. If you're not able to do it, I will change the assignment.
Ma'am,
Hmm.
can you share the PPT of today's curve and everything?
Today's logistic regression, right?
Yes, yes.
Yes, sure. Okay. So let me take the attendance now. I think next Wednesday I will not be able to take lecture. Let me see if I can take it on Thursday. Not sure. And after that the vacation is starting. But I'll finish it before the vacation. Our syllabus is almost over. Next week I'll complete the syllabus. Aboli,
Present, ma'am.
Apurv,
Yes, ma'am.
Archana. Archana, is she there? Deepali,
Yes.
Harshad,
Yes, ma'am.
So next day I want you, whenever we are doing GitHub, make a folder with all your whatever we have done in R, Python, whatever everything you have done. Put it in the same folder, okay? And create a GitHub account. Mihak,
Yes, ma'am.
Meenakshi.
Present, ma'am.
What is not working? Archana, okay. Brunali,
Yes, ma'am.
Nihal,
Yes, ma'am.
Suman,
Yes, ma'am.
Tejal.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you all. Have a nice weekend. Have a pleasant evening. Bye.